Good evening, everybody. Welcome. Nice to see such a nice crowd here. We're so glad you're here to be with us. You're in for quite a treat tonight. It's such a joy to collaborate with the Meire Grove Band. We shared the stage with them last year at the Paramount Theater in St. Cloud's. This is the second one that we've done. We agreed to meet again this year. And before we begin, I want to thank the State Street Theater and all the personnel for their support of the arts and their assistance in hosting this event. So let's give a warm New Ulm welcome.
Thank you, Don. It is really a great pleasure to be here with you today. We hope that you enjoy the music that we bring as much as you enjoy your own New Ulm band. And we certainly enjoyed them in St. Cloud last year. And it's going to be quite an honor to put the two bands together and fill this stage with all the band members at the end of the concert. So you do not want to leave early. We are going to open the concert tonight with the Star-Spangled Banner. The Star-Spangled Banner was written in 1815, and it was enacted by Congress as our national anthem in the year 1931. So it hasn't been forever that we've had to try to sing that high. So if you can stand as you're able. Community bands come out of Europe and the history of the brass band. This band started its roots in 1883 with the advent of a choir or organist in the church starting a boys band. That's what you did. The entertainment for music was playing the piano in your parlor or maybe having a community band, a brass band. And since that time, this band has performed every year for the last 140 years. This is our 141st year. We have two original members along with us tonight. Just kidding. And in those days, of course, music was mostly the marches. You heard those in the circus and waltzes, folk music, that type of stuff. Very German-oriented in the Meire Grove area. This next piece is more Americana, and as we've developed over the last several years, more and more people in the band, I'll explain that in a little bit, but we have tried to progress to a variety of things. This is a little bit more Americana, kind of reminds me a little bit of the Olympic spirit that we have right now. It's called American Flourish. Well, the Meire Grove Band, I think, had 4 F's in their favor. One was faith, because the band was based in the local church. The local Catholic Church held a Corpus Christi celebration every year with a procession around the cemetery. That continues to this day. Secondly was family. We had many family members. In fact, I'm only the 5th director of this band, and the first one was the choir director, was not related. After that, they were all relatives of the people that lived in town. 20 years, 40-year director. My father-in-law, Laverne Meire, 62 years. And I'm not going to make 80. Just saying. Lots of family, friends. Meire Grove is not a large community. If you come into town from the north or south on Highway 4, there's 180 people in the town. If you come from the east on Highway 13, there's 179. Honest. So it's not a lot of people. When you see over 40 people on the stage, you go, where are they coming from? Well, a lot of them are family members that don't necessarily live right in town, or they're friends. And that's really important. And the last F is fun. We have a great deal of fun. We all enjoy music, and we kind of go a little step beyond that. We really have a lot of fun, and hopefully we'll share that with you as we go through the concert tonight. Our next piece goes back to the roots of the band and those marches that I was talking about. Now, the march writers of the day would write many, many marches. It was very, very popular. And so they would take their marches and put them into a little folio book, maybe 13, 15, 16 different marches under their name, and they would sell it. That way you could go through it. Well, we had 2 books, the red book and the yellow book. We're going to play for you out of the yellow book, Port Conway. Well, there's a lot of great music out there, and one of the guys that was really, really big into traveling not only the country but the world with their band was John Philip Sousa. Now, John Philip Sousa, known as the March King, but his bands played all kinds of music, and he hired the best musicians from around the world. Orchestral, opera, classical, military bands, the whole gamut. And so he often featured people throughout those concerts. He would also do music of the day. And so he had a great variety of music. It wasn't just John Philip Sousa and Stars and Stripes. It was really a show. And so tonight we're going to offer a little bit of that show. We're going to go back to about 1957 and a musical that came to Broadway called The Music Man. Now, The Music Man became very popular. In fact, there were 1,375 continuous performances on Broadway. I went to every one of them. Not really, no. It then was made into a movie, and this is going to be selections from the show, and we'll add these pieces to our medley tonight. 76 trombones, Till There Was You, The Wells Fargo Wagon, and Marion the Librarian. Here's selections from The Music Man. had the opportunity to travel to Germany twice in 2011 and 2016 with just the Meire Grove Band. And then that COVID thing happened. We were planning another trip and kind of got pushed off. And we have some members in this band that also participate in the St. Cloud Municipal Band. So we kind of talked, and we actually got a 12-day trip together where we performed in the sister city of St. Cloud, Spalt, which is south of Nuremberg. And then we did a lot of sightseeing. We ended up in Holdorf, which is northern Germany, and did a concert there. Again, a joint concert, both bands playing, and then we played some things together. Well, one of the things we noticed about both German bands is they had no trombones. We don't know why. Maybe they know something we should know. But anyway, they did have tenor horns and these beautiful, beautiful brass instruments. It was marvelous hearing them and playing with them. So we thought we should feature the trombone, since we've got a gaggle of them back there. This is a wonderful piece by Carl L. King called Trombone King. Our sermon today will be Mark. Just kidding. Take me just a second. We're going to do a clarinet solo. Is that okay with you? I don't know. That wasn't very convincing. You need this to play clarinet solos. Glasses. My name is Gary Zwak. You saw that in the program. And the reason I bring it up is I'm the oldest of a family of 8 children. Grew up in Brooklyn Center. 5 of us had a band. We had a polka band for a number of years back in the 70s and 80s, the Zwak Old Time Band. And then we added a sister, so there were 6 of us. And we played, like Gibbon. We played all over the upper Midwest. Actually, we did do the Gibbon, and we did 5 states for a number of years. And this is a piece that I wrote up and then arranged it for the band here. It's called the Clarinet Polka. And if all goes right, we're gonna get most of it. Oh, I can hear it. Now for the encore. Here we go. 1, 2, 3. Thank you. By the way, the Zwak Old Time Band really doesn't play anymore. We all got married and moved on, and some of us are still playing. If you're a concertina aficionado, my brother Keith Zwak is inducted into the Concertina Hall of Fame, and he's still playing. He's had some health problems, but I'll tell you what, if you want to hear a good concertina player, look that one up. Our next piece is going to be totally different than that. This is going to go down to the southern United States in the early days of jazz. This is kind of a Dixieland tune. Probably the guy that made it most famous was a guy by the name of Satchmo. Louis Armstrong. And this is our version of St. James Infirmary. We'll be featuring some other members of the band. We have Roger Klophock on the tenor sax. We've got Ross Resley on bari saxophone. We've got Levi Schwieters on trombone, and on the end there, Mr. Randy Resley on trumpet. I'll play a little clarinet too. Thank you so much. We have a little fun doing that, if you couldn't tell. The interesting thing about that arrangement was it was written by a Swedish guy. Who knew? Found it on the internet. I said, yeah, I like that. Let's do that. Our next piece is by Carl King again. Remember the trombone king guy? And he wrote a lot of music. He wrote over 300 pieces, a variety of works. And he had a piece that was, well, he wrote a lot of circus music. And sometimes they would call these things gallops. And this one we're actually going to call a screamer, because it just screams by. And they would write music to portray what was going on in the ring. And so sometimes there's a lot of activity going on, and so they needed to make it very exciting. So we hope you enjoy this. It's called Rough Riders Screamer. I gave up camels about 10 years ago. No, I never smoked a camel. They don't even smell good. We have another piece for you. Now this next piece, I'm going to do a little trivia with you. It's called Theme from New York, New York. All right, big show tune. And do you know what movie it comes from? New York, New York. That's right. Martin Scorsese and Liza Minnelli were in it. And in 1977, they did the movie. And most of us think of New York, New York as sung by who? Frank Sinatra, right. Well, he brought it back in 1978 in his comeback tour. But the first one to ever sing it was really Liza Minnelli. Now, if you've ever been to a Yankees game, when the Yankees win, they play New York, New York at the end of the game, and it's Frank Sinatra. And when they lose, they play New York, New York by Liza Minnelli. I'm just stating the facts, folks. Here is our version of New York, New York. lot of music yet to go tonight, so we're trying to get to these next two pieces so we can get the New Ulm Band on. Again, we want to say thank you so much for coming. And as I mentioned, family. We have a lot of families. I know you do in the New Ulm Band as well. I play, my wife plays, our daughter plays French horn, our son plays tuba. And then there's three others that we're not sure where they belong, but no. How many have family in the band? So there's quite a few, yeah, quite a few that are related, aunts, uncles, cousins, nephews, whatever. And how many of you are current or past music teachers? Yeah, that helps. These people love to come to these rehearsals and go, I don't have to do anything. I just play. And I love that. That's great. Our next piece, we did our concert, as I mentioned, with Spalt, and they brought forward this piece to do together. It's called Bohemian Dream, and I think you'll enjoy it. Thank you so much. We're going to close out with a wonderful arrangement of America the Beautiful. It's called From Sea to Shining Sea, which is going to feature two vocalists. We have Meire, originally from Meire Grove, and we have Bonnie Nelson, who is a retired choir director from Sauk Center, Minnesota. And so here is From Sea to Shining Sea.
Okay, looks like we're ready to rock and roll. We are here, and we're the New Ulm Municipal Band. And again, so great to see all of you here supporting the arts tonight. We are really honored that you're here. Our first number dates from the 17th century. It's based on Marc Antoine Charpentier's version of the ancient song Te Deum. It's a very formal prayer of praise used by the church since the mid-300s. And our opening number was commissioned for the 1991 European Brass Band Championships in Rotterdam, Holland. So here's fanfare and flourishes for a festive occasion. very popular German march called Old Comrades was composed around 1889 by Colonel Karl Teike in the city of Ulm. Supposedly Teike was told by his superior officers, we have plenty of marches, throw this one away, throw it in the fire. Lucky for us, he did not. It became one of the most popular German military marches. So here is Old Comrades. Under the Cherry Tree, or Unterm Kirschbaum, is one of the 40 compositions and more than 200 arrangements Siegfried Rundel, a 20th century German composer, has penned. His work is known for being both faithful to the German brass band tradition and highly playable. He founded his own publishing company in 1964, but when the Iron Wall around Eastern Europe fell in the mid-1990s, he went in search for even more authentic ethnic music, especially in Eastern Germany and the Czech Republic. He was not disappointed, arranging numerous, never-before-heard compositions and unpublished Eastern Bloc musicians. So this is called Unterm Kirschbaum, or Under the Cherry Tree. Though it's not the first musical setting of the Phantom of the Opera, Andrew Lloyd Webber's is the most famous. The story, written in 1910 by the Frenchman Gaston Leroux, was originally translated into English and then set to music by Ken Hill in 1976. The story is a Beauty and the Beast romance set in a Paris opera house. Andrew Lloyd Webber's composition dates from 1986, first opening in Broadway in 1988, and it won a Tony Award that year. By 2012, it had reached 10,000 performances on Broadway, grossing over $1 billion. The Lion King finally surpassed it in 2014, And in 21, a new movie production was opened in theaters. It played its last Broadway performance on April 15th, 2023. This arrangement is a medley, includes the title number, and then we'll move on to All I Ask of You and ends with Music of the Night. So here are highlights from Phantom of the Opera. Our next song is a concert march entitled Bandology. It was composed in 1963 by a composer by the name of Eric Osterling. He was born in 1926. He began a professional pianist career at age 14. For 34 years, he taught high school band and then 6 years of teaching and conducting university bands. He has composed and arranged over 600 different compositions. He is known as the modern March King. So here is from 1963 called Bandology. Named for a famous alpine skiing racing mountain, Crans, Montana, Switzerland, Siegfried Rundle wrote this composition in 1995. So here is Crans, Montana. You can hear this thing squeak as I walk around. Oh my goodness, I can keep time. We don't need a bass drum or anything like that. I just keep time by bouncing up and down and squeak, 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 squeak. Our next song is entitled Amparito Roca, and it means the sheltered cliff. It was written in 1925 by Jaime Teodor, a Spanish musician and composer. He named it after one of his gifted piano students, a 12-year-old named Amparito Roca. And it's a Spanish military march and one of the more well-known pieces of Spanish music. Amparito Roca. Carl King was born in Ohio in 1891. His formal music instruction consisted of 4 piano lessons and 1 theory lesson. He never went to school past the 8th grade, and from 1909 to 1920, he played with a variety of traveling circus bands nationwide. After he moved to Fort Dodge, Iowa, he became director of the Municipal Band there and began a music printing business. Under his direction, the Municipal Band became one of the top community bands in the nation. During his lifetime, he composed about 185 marches and 115 others, including waltzes and overtures over the course of about 60 years. This next number is from 1955, and it's called Bonds of Unity. I think I would get used to that, but. Next song, composed at the age of 88, Hans Hartwig, he's a German composer of a number of bands throughout his career. He survived the Nazi era by writing and conducting music for the band of the 10th Armored Regiment. Afterwards, he directed music for a variety of groups and organizations and composed around 70 works for orchestra, 30 of which were marches. This one is from 2005. It's named for a town in Germany. Here is Hansel Hartwig's Fürstenberg. Try to get around it, and there's just no way. Absolutely no way. From November of 1861, Battle Hymn of the Republic. Julia Ward Howe composed this her famous hymn and lyrics after hearing the soldiers marching past her in the streets singing the song John Brown's Body. A friend, being a pastor, recommended she write more fitting and sacred text. Howe said she woke the next gray November morning with the complete lyrics in her head and got up before sunrise to write them down without the aid of a lamp. So here is a concert version of Battle Hymn of the Republic. Everybody enjoying the music tonight? We have one more song for you, and then we will take a little short break and combine the two bands together for our last two numbers. Our final individual piece is written by another of the great American march composers, Henry Fillmore. He was born in 1881 in Cincinnati, Ohio, and much like Carl King, he played in circus bands throughout the country. He returned home in 1905, and he also began a music publishing business, with his compositions adding to the popularity of his company. He began his own band, called the Fillmore Band, and it came to rival the popularity of John Philip Sousa's band. He composed over 250 songs of various styles. This song you will hear he commissioned for the town of Mount Healthy, Ohio in 1916. So here is Mount Healthy. Okay, it looks like we're ready to go. Believe it or not, here's over 80 band members on the stage playing together at one time.
Oh, I'd like to say a special thank you to Don Gurek and the members of the band for all the wonderful support they gave us today. They fed us, they gave us water, and a lot of cookies. We play so much better when we get cookies. We hope everybody enjoyed the concert and has a safe trip home. Congratulations on a great year, New Ulm Municipal Band.
And I, too, would like to thank everybody for coming. This was truly a great musical event, and I'd like to thank the members of the Meire Grove Band for coming all down this far and to doing a joint concert. Would you like to hear something again in the future? Okay, great. We'll see what we can do. We'll see what we can do. Again, thank you so much, and I'd like to thank the members of my band, too, for all the hard work that they put in and playing with such passion. Thank you much for coming.